an endangered species in peril, deforestation in Queensland, careless driving and what you can do to help. Good evening, this is Olivia Kimber with the latest in conservation news. Tonight's episode is about the endangered southern cassowary. These updates provide you with the tools that you need to help our Australian native wildlife in your everyday life. The cassowary is a large flightless bird, also known as a ratite. It is estimated that the ratites evolved 65 million years ago, after the extinction of the dinosaurs. This group of flightless birds also includes the emu, kiwi, ostrich and rhea. It has been hypothesised that these birds evolved once the predation pressure of the dinosaurs was lifted, and the birds had little evolutionary necessity for flight and therefore no constraint on their size. This striking bird is easily identified by its vibrant blue and purple neck, red wattles, glossy black feathers and tall brown calves. The cassowary can grow up to 2 metres tall and weigh 76 kilograms. And while they appear to be relatively harmless, cassowaries defend themselves by kicking their large claws at their provoker. Their claws are strong enough to tear through car doors and have been known to reach lengths of 12 centimetres. So if you see one in the wild, it's probably best to leave it be. The males are smaller than the females and grow to about 3/4 of the female size. When reproducing, the female lays the eggs while the male does the nesting and the rearing of the chicks. This southern cassowary is native to the tropical forests of New Guinea, nearby islands and northeastern Australia. It was able to migrate to these separate islands when they were joined by a single landmass known as Sahul. In Australia, the distribution of the southern cassowary is highly fragmented due to forest clearance and a lack of food and fresh water supply. This species is known to occur in northern and eastern Cape York and also in coastal, hinterland or tableland areas between Townsville and Cooktown. The cassowary has an important ecological role to play in the Australian ecosystem. While some cassowaries have been known to eat small invertebrates, they are predominantly frugivores, consuming more than 238 species of fruit. The seeds aren't damaged by the cassowary's gentle digestive system and are therefore carried and dispersed over long distances. The unharmed seeds are then supported by the ready-made fertiliser of the cassowary dung. Without the cassowary, this long-range dispersal of large rainforest seeds would not be possible, and many large species of trees could potentially become extinct, and this could change the dynamic of the ecosystem. Some of the threats that the southern cassowaries are now facing include deforestation, habitat loss, fragmentation, cyclones and natural disasters, disease, motor vehicle collisions, dog attacks and climate change. To help counteract the severity of these threats, several conservation plans have been implemented. These include a recovery plan, population monitoring, community education, habitat management, revegetation and creating wildlife corridors. My colleagues Cassie Duncan and Jaron Collins will help explain these threats and conservation methods in detail.
Cassowaries are a keystone species, playing a key role in maintaining the diversity and ecological balance of the rainforest. But their rainforest is being destroyed at an alarming rate. Habitat loss and degradation are a major issue caused by the deforestation of our unique tropical rainforest. With little land, cassowaries will have nowhere to go, and this highly vulnerable ecosystem is already under threat by humans, and also by nature. Within the last decade, North Queensland has endured some serious cyclones affecting the already scarce rainforest habitat for the cassowaries. The limited resources and isolation caused catastrophic effects to the cassowary population, but in 2006 the Queensland Government implemented a feeding program that found the southern cassowary receiving some assistance after cyclonic events. Food drops were performed by placing fruit within the rainforest for cassowaries to find by themselves, still being able to feed whilst limiting their habituation to humans. Habituation is a massive issue in regards to cassowary safety. Hand feeding creates a familiarization that they can rely on. This easy food source is causing them to venture onto highly populated areas, vulnerable to dog attacks and road accidents. This year already, there has been a reported 5 cassowary deaths caused by vehicle collisions. That is an average of 1 per month, and this is only the reported collisions, leaving potentially more to speculation. This alarming number is due to habitat fragmentation and the associated edge effect issues that come with it. When roads are positioned through rainforest habitat, a division of ecosystems and micro-niches occur. This fragmentation breaks the cassowary's original habitat into smaller, more isolated patches. These patches are more subjective to edge effect issues as the edges of their habitat become more abrupt and transition less smoothly than they would naturally. The edges of a habitat have different physical conditions and communities of organisms within them, and thus are not ideal for cassowaries to be constantly living in. Movement between these patches often become quite dangerous for this flightless bird, and thus the implementation of movement corridors has now been brought into practice. Breeding programs have seen massive success within captivity, with multiple zoos such as Perth, Taronga and Australia Zoo working in conjunction with Rainforest Rescue and other organisations to ensure an increase in the cassowary population. After Cyclone Larry in 2006, 18% of adult and juvenile cassowaries within the Mission Beach area had disappeared. From this, 12 captive bred juveniles were released back in the wild with tracking devices, although as far as we know, further research was never conducted. The southern cassowary's breeding season in the wild is found to be quite successful if they can survive the wild pigs preying on their eggs and chicks. But the trouble really arises once the juveniles are about 9 months old and leave their protective father. At this age, they are vulnerable to confrontations with wild and domestic dogs. Attacks on adult and juvenile cassowaries are a common cause of death for these flightless birds, with reports from a local vet estimating that 30 to 40 dogs were admitted last year with severe injuries from defensive cassowaries. And many cassowaries were also admitted to the rehabilitation centre at this time. These spectacular birds also fall victim to an unseen killer. Diseases such as the avian tuberculosis and aspergillosis are both untreatable and generally unidentifiable until an autopsy is carried out. Previous conservation methods have been successful, with their population steadily increasing. Reports that once suggested only 1,500 individuals left in the wild have been refuted, with research by Dr. Dave Westcott calculating a new estimate of around 4,400. Although this seems substantial, they are still listed as endangered due to their highly vulnerable ecosystem. A phone conversation to the Wet Tropics Management Authority in Cairns confirmed that the habitat security and cassowary education is of major importance to their survival. Many properties and large pieces of land have been purchased as cassowary habitat. Management authorities have seen major success in securing this habitat and creating rainforest corridors to assist with cassowary movement within the rainforest, aiding towards a greater genetic diversity within the southern cassowary species. Many tree planting days have also been held by the locals and supporting organisations to help with the reforestation of the land to assist in the damages caused by habitat loss.
Their future is looking brighter with an extensive recovery plans and conservation organisations helping to fight for their survival. The establishment of ecological connectivity and reforestation is a major task in managing the pressures of habitat loss and fragmentation. The Queensland Government's Department of Environmental and Heritage Protection have created a recovery plan to protect cassowaries, their habitat and corridors from threats through better planning, monitoring and community involvement. Here is a summary of actions required. Complete the mapping of essential cassowary habitat and identify areas and corridors to protect, restore and manage. Develop and implement cassowary conservation and local area plans as a part of local planning. Minimise cassowary road deaths, dog attacks and assess the impact of pigs. Implement a translocation plan as part of rescue, rehabilitation and release. Establish a monitoring program in key habitats. Develop and implement a population survey methodology based on fecal DNA. Study cassowary populations at Mission Beach and determine genetic structure, and involve community in cassowary conservation. But in order to complete these actions, extensive research is yet to be undertaken. One problem all endangered species face is competition for research funds from the government. The cassowary organisations have received very little funding from the government in comparison to other species, thus relying heavily on community involvement and donations. In order for this recovery plan to be effective, greater grants must be chosen for the southern cassowary to be researched thoroughly. The conservation of this iconic species depends on it.
Now my colleague, Darby Fay, will give you tips on how you can help save the southern cassowary.
The cassowary is critical to rainforest survival as it is a major seed disperser for over 238 plant species, playing a massive role in plant reproduction. It is known as the rainforest gardener, and without its vital role in seed dispersal, the rainforest ecosystem will indefinitely peril. So how can you help? Slow down when driving in cassowary environments. Keep dogs in a secure location, on a leash or in a fenced area. Do not hand feed cassowaries. Report cassowaries in trouble to local conservation groups or Queensland Park and Wildlife Services. Support efforts to protect cassowary habitats. Help make our community cassowary conscious. Spread the word to help conserve this species. Restoring rainforest habitat and creating wildlife corridors through the planting of trees is a potential method which will provide habitat, food, and a safe passage for generations of cassowaries to come. With habitat destruction acknowledged as the #1 threat to cassowary survival, buying back and restoring as many rainforest properties as possible is crucial to their future survival. To help with the recovery of the southern cassowary and its rainforest ecosystem, you can donate to Global Living's Protect the Rainforest and Save the Southern Cassowary project to help conserve this species, which is crucial for the sustainability of their entire ecosystem. Just $50 could provide food for an adult cassowary for an entire week. They have raised over $18,000 in an effort to help conserve and rehabilitate their ecosystem. Save the Southern Cassowary is a Facebook page created by our group to raise awareness. We have even come up with our own hashtag, SCSC, which stands for Save the Southern Cassowary. This page contains information on awareness, conservation, and the habitat of the southern cassowary.
That's all the news for now. Thank you for tuning in to our conservation special. Good night.